Hello. Hi, everyone. Whoa, so many people joining. Amazing. Hi. Hi, everyone. Oh my God, please comment so I know you guys are here. Hi. Oh, thank you so much. Oh my God. Hi, John. Hi. So nice to see you. Hi, guys. Ah, okay, awesome. Oh, Molly, hi, that's my friend from DC. That's awesome. Oh my God, you canceled the meeting. No way. Also, where are you guys joining from? That's what I want to know. Like, I get DMs honestly from all over the place, so I'm super curious where all of you guys are located. Excited. Oh, hello, Wave. Hi. Asia, Sassy. Hi, guys. Oh, I love the champagne. Maybe I'll have a drink after this, honestly. Hi everyone. How's everyone enjoying their Pisces season this week? It's Thursday. We've had a pretty harmonious week astrologically. We've had a lot of beautiful trines, sextiles, so hopefully you guys have been enjoying the energy. Oh, I see Mexico, Richmond, Kansas, LA. I used to live in DC, so close to Richmond. I visited once. Ooh, South Africa, Buffalo, Oregon. Hello, love the tree. Is it cold where you guys are? Cause it is winter here and it is bitter to be outside, but Liverpool, some people are feeling peace this week. Oh my God, Switzerland. Also guys, I talk pretty fast. I don't know if you picked up on that on my videos. That's why I've always pre-recorded them because I'm always scared that I'm not gonna come out articulately. But I'm feeling a push to let go of my insecurities, let go of fear. That's kind of what full moon is going to be all about too. So just to say, hopefully you guys can understand me. Ottawa, Canada. I used to live in Canada, actually. I lived in Vancouver for 4 years, so that's awesome. The snow came and went. Yeah, that tends to happen. Pisces season. Oh, amazing. Yay, hi. Okay, lots of less stress this week. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, and I definitely feel like Pisces season is helping us go we can finally take a breath and kind of step back, reassess the bigger picture, relax. So I'm so glad you guys are feeling that. I've honestly been trying to be a lot more chill this week and kind of not even do IG so much. I don't know if you guys noticed, but yeah, that's been my whole MO. Oh, I'm very articulate. Thank you. I have Mercury retrograde, so I often worry that I'm not coming out as well as I can be. And honestly, when I was growing up, English is my second language, and I definitely remember it being hard to learn. So I feel like I have a lot of childhood trauma from that. Love your page. Ooh, thank you. Virgo sun and Pisces rising. That's perfect for the moon coming up. Okay, I think, let's see, we are 3:03. I think that's probably a good time to start. Again, this is my very first live, and honestly, I've always been terrified of doing them because I'm an overbearing perfectionist. I have control issues, very much Virgo vibes because I do have the sun or the north node and the south node and my moon in my 6th house ruled by Virgo. So really saying I love Virgo energy, but I can also tend to overdo it, specifically the perfectionism and control issues. But that's really why I felt called to step on this live for the full moon in Virgo, because I do feel the sense I am personally being called on to let go of my, perfectionism, micromanaging tendencies, and I want to share that with you guys. Also, my first language is Korean, for those of you guys wondering. I don't know if I ever told you guys, but I'm Korean. I was born in South Korea, and then I moved to Canada when I was younger. So I lived in Canada for about 4 years before moving to California. So I've been there ever since. Although now I'm in Massachusetts, enjoying the snow and the East Coast. Virgo sun, Gemini rising. Oh yeah, Carissa, I think we talked before. Yeah, you'll have to DM me later about that too. But okay, so I'm going to get started with my presentation. This is my first live, so I don't know how well I'm going to be able to keep up with the comments, so please bear with me if I can't respond to everything. Honestly, I might just ask for your questions in the end. I did prepare some things today, probably over-prepared, of course, but I want to give you the full breakdown of what to expect for full moon in Virgo. Spending a year in Seoul. Oh my God, I would love to do that. I haven't been back in many years. Okay, but let's get started just talking about the full moon in Virgo coming up. And just to give you guys the details first, The full moon is going to be on Saturday, February the 27th, and it is exact at 12:18 a.m. Pacific time, 3:18 a.m. Eastern time, 8:18 a.m. GMT, and 7:18 p.m. Sydney time. So really going to be very active all of Saturday and Sunday. So we're going to enjoy this beautiful full moon all weekend. So that's really good. Like hopefully you guys can find time in your schedule this week to do some of the things that I will suggest to make the most of this full moon. But those are the details. Now I am super duper excited about this full moon, honestly, because I feel like it goes so well with the Pisces themes that we're feeling right now. Of course, you guys know we are in Pisces season. We just been there for about a week, I would say. But, you know, in the grand context of the astrological year, Pisces really represents the end of the year, really, for us, because Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac. So it really has very strong ties to endings, basically, or death sometimes, loss, things coming to a close, a chapter coming to a close, really the ending of a cycle. So this is really the time of life where we are in. We're kind of looking back on the last 12 months or so, you know, reflecting on all of our successes, all of our achievements, but, you know, some of the clutter that we have accumulated over the last couple of months, figuring out, of course, what is serving us and also what we want to leave behind. And this is really all in preparation for the brand new astrological year that is kicking off next month. Aries season, first sign of the zodiac. So we definitely consider that to be astrological new year. And Aries season is going to bring in a shift of seasons for all of us. You know, the Northern Hemisphere, we are going from winter to spring. Honestly, I can't wait for that. Southern Hemisphere, we are going from fall to, sorry, I forget exactly. They're going into fall. So summer to fall. So basically trying to say that we are entering a seasonal shift for all of us. That is why Aries is a cardinal sign. But this is all that we have to look forward to. We have a brand new beginning ahead of us. March is super exciting because it is actually the only month of the entire year 2021 that we will have no planets in retrograde. So it is actually the one month of the year where we're not affected by retrograde energy. And you can imagine how that means, like, we're going to be able to move faster on our projects. We're going to be able to make progress and feel like we can make decisions without second guessing ourselves. So saying this is all we have to look forward to. But again, we are still in Pisces season, a time of endings and of closure. Yes, no retrograde. So this is a time when we are called on to reassess all the things that we have accumulated and figure out what to leave behind. And that is really why I am excited for this full moon, because full moons are all about release and all about letting things go. So it's this perfect portal opening for us where we can just like throw away all our trash into the trash can. And the universe kind of helps us take out the garbage. So that is really exciting for us. So the release is what is important to focus on this full moon. And I definitely feel like this upcoming moon is going to be super productive for that because it is trining Uranus. So it is making a harmonious aspect to Uranus. You guys know the planet of liberation and revolution and really just breaking free of bonds and chains and things that hold us back from our true path. So I definitely see this weekend as something that's going to help us release things that are getting in the way. And it's going to help us release them in a way that feels so good. It's almost like we do it and we're like, oh my God, we should have done this the entire time because I didn't realize how much it was holding me back. So those are all the things to look forward to for sure. So before I get into the full details of Virgo, I kind of actually want to explain a little bit about what the full moon actually means in terms of space and like what's going on in the skies. You guys know I like to be educational. I want to tell you guys like exactly what is going on in the skies and how that relates to the astrology, because I do feel like it'll help you guys understand the astrological meaning. I'm going to bust out my paper chart. You guys know I love this thing, but just to describe, a full moon always happens whenever the sun and the moon are in opposite signs of each other. So you guys know it's Pisces season. So the sun is in Pisces right now. Yes, I am going to save this live for all of you guys asking. Definitely going to save it, so don't worry. The sun it's Pisces season, so the sun is in Pisces. The moon is going to be in Virgo, which is the complete opposite sign of Pisces. So that is the anatomy of a full moon. It always happens when the sun and moon are at opposite points of each other. So you can imagine the sun is here, the earth is like kind of here, and the moon is here. So that's literally what's going on in the skies on the 27th. Now, as the sun and moon are opposite of each other, the sun is really going to illuminate the moon and make it very bright because, of course, the sun is shining all of its rays there. So that is why the full moon is this beautiful, round, circular, majestic thing in the skies, because it is being illuminated by the moon. Now, I describe this because I feel like it helps us understand the astrology. The moon in astrology represents your emotions, your internal world, your subconscious thoughts, how you feel things, and how you express your feelings. So when the sun is illuminating the moon, it is as if our emotional inner world is illuminated along with it. Like it becomes very easy to see how we feel things or why we felt that way, or some subconscious thoughts that we might have even been repressing that we didn't even realize. Basically, it brings up all of these feelings up to the surface and makes it very easy for us to understand why we were feeling certain things. So that is why a full moon is considered a beautiful time to release your emotions, because it is really a time when we can understand ourselves on that deeper internal subconscious level. We can understand like why we got really mad that day and like yelled at our kids, or like why we just like suddenly got angry at our spouse and like stormed off, or why we got really afraid one day and started like hiding, or we felt like we didn't want to do anything. We can understand why we felt those emotions, and we can really pinpoint the root cause of them. So yeah, maybe you thought like, I yelled at my spouse because I don't get enough sleep and I'm stressed. But perhaps that's really tied to the fact that at work, you are not speaking up for yourself and you're letting yourself be dominated by your boss or like coworkers who are making your life miserable, and you're not asserting your authority in the ways that you need to be. Whatever the root cause is, this full moon will help you illuminate it and to really help you process certain subconscious emotions that you weren't sure of at the moment that it was happening. So I do feel like the moon is going to bring a lot of clarity for many of us. You guys know we were just out of Aquarius season, and Aquarius season had a lot of Uranus energy. Uranus being all about like shocks, surprises, things kind of coming out of left field. So I definitely feel like, you know, perhaps in the last couple of weeks, you guys felt like you just had things happen to you that you didn't expect or you didn't want to happen, or maybe things like unfolded in a way that you didn't intend it to be, or you just had like some kind of shock that came out of left field. So I know the last couple of weeks might have felt destabilizing, but again, I do feel like this full moon coming up will really help you understand like why those things happen that way, and like why these certain unstable changes had to happen, and like why going in a different direction was actually for your highest good. So hopefully it brings clarity, understanding, and just the ability to be at peace with what has occurred, because you can connect the dots in a more holistic way. And I do think that is an important thing to remember with Virgo. Virgo is a very intellectual sign. It is ruled by Mercury, so it is all about your brain, your intellect, like how you process things. So they're very good at seeing things from a systematic view, about seeing the bigger picture in many ways. So again, I do feel like the full moon will bring clarity, and it will help us connect the dots and make sense of things and really understand why certain things had to happen that way. So those are just some of the things to look forward to this weekend. Is like, yeah, like I'm glad that it happened this way because actually it led to something else. So hopefully you guys can adopt that mindset, because the more that we align to that energy, that clarity will come to us. That is how the universe delivers as the moon becomes exact. Yes, they have a very critical internal dialogue. I am definitely going to talk all about that. Certain shadow things to release with Virgo, the criticism, the perfectionism, for sure. But release is a big theme of the full moon. Clarity is another big theme. Now the question is, of course, like how do we gain this clarity? Like what can we be doing during the weekend to make space for those messages to flow? So here, I'm going to emphasize this weekend, really the need for you guys to clear your schedule in many ways and make time for peace and relaxation and alone time. Honestly, to detach and be willing to be present in the current moment. And I know I talked about this a lot in my recent videos with Pisces, you know, the needing to get away from the external chatter, get away from people who influence our thoughts, and just recenter and come back to our core and think, do I really believe in this? Or is it something that my parents are saying or what society is saying? And I say this because Virgo specifically can be such an overthinker. And I know a lot of you guys with Virgo placements know that, but again, super intellectual sign. I honestly describe their brain as a supercomputer because they're constantly analyzing things. They're constantly processing things. Like, I do not even know how they keep all that information in their head, but they can feel like they need to understand everything. And I feel like this full moon reminds us that sometimes we don't need to understand, or sometimes we don't even need to know. Sometimes we just need to allow ourselves to be present in the moment, to feel the energy, and to feel our emotions too. To feel our emotions and feel our physical body, because our body can reveal so much about stress, you know, stress sweating, or just like our palms getting sweaty, you know, anything like that. So it's really allowing yourself to have that space to detach from the external factors. Human calculator is exactly right. It's like, they're literally like a machine almost. So the big thing, of course, I know I like emphasize this a lot with Pisces, is like taking time for yourself. I will say Virgo, being an earth sign, all earth signs are kind of like this, but they do not like being, you know, just kind of taking a rest. They don't like just doing nothing, because earth signs, they all really value productivity, and they value the feeling of getting things done and producing tangible results. So it's really perhaps not going to be helpful for you to just think that you're going to do nothing. That is why I've been emphasizing so much. Raise your hand if you're an overthinker. Okay, here I am. Virgos don't like doing nothing. So that's why I'm emphasizing the need for you guys to perhaps do some mindless, gentle tasks during the weekend. And of course, the very first thing that comes to mind is cleaning with Virgo, because Virgos are all about being very neat and very meticulous. So they tend to be organized people. They tend to be clean people. Definitely have messy Virgos, don't get me wrong. But even messy Virgos, they're honestly people who are like, I know exactly where everything is. Like, I have a system. Even the things on the floor are supposed to be on the floor, even though I don't get why. So they have a system and organization for everything. But you should incorporate some of those tactics this weekend. It's like, how can you clean something or organize your room or organize your pantry? Because actually getting rid of the physical clutter in your life will help get rid of the mental clutter as well. So Virgo reminds us so much about how our physical environment is such a key part of our emotional, spiritual well-being as well. And I'm going to talk also a lot about how our physical body and our physical energy is a key component of spirituality. I feel like people forget, like people think we just have to be like very Zen and Buddha and kind of like, you know, be like meditating, but we forget that the state of our environment and the state of our physical body is a key component of our energetic soul body as well. So try to make time to just kind of get your environment in order this weekend. Now, I don't want this to seem like a chore, because I know some people are like, oh, cleaning, like that's what I avoid doing. I want you guys to see how you can make it an experience. So perhaps you can like put on some nice candles, or like put on music that you like start jamming out, put on essential oils like aromatherapy. Like, think about how cleaning, organizing can be a treat, a very luxurious experience that fuels you and nourishes you, because it should be something like that. It should be something that makes you feel ready to tackle on other things. So just know that as much as you can make it a treat and luxury for yourself, whatever that looks like to you, that's going to be the best way for your mind to be very relaxed and for your conscious mind to quiet the chatter. You will honestly be super amazed by some of the insights that come just as you're like vacuuming or reorganizing things. I think I saw an orb. Did you guys see that? Or like, was that a dust? I definitely saw a little thing of light going up there. Hopefully, I set the intention that this will all be for our highest good and that we are spiritually protected. So hopefully that orb was like a fairy or something. What was I saying? Make it an experience basically, and treat yourself this weekend. Also, other things that you can do, color coding your closet actually might be a good one. Like, I think that would be like really fun for me because you can beautify as well as organize things. Journaling is also, of course, a good thing to do with Virgo moons because, again, they're very overthinkers, so they definitely need to get their thoughts out onto paper. And I actually even did this morning where I wrote down, like, I actually had a fight with my boyfriend recently, so I wrote down, like, I fought with him and like I felt this way, but I realized the root cause was because I've been just like overloading myself with work and not giving myself enough rest, and I'm taking it out on other people. So I kind of did this little journaling exercise, and I feel like it definitely helped me understand why I popped off in the way that I did. So journaling helps. The other thing I want to emphasize with Virgo is exercise, because Virgo is the sign of health, and it kind of rules your physical body. So yoga, of course, or intentional movement, or even just dancing, like letting yourself loose, like again, putting on some jams. The more that we connect to our physical body, the easier it is for us to get spiritual insights during Virgo season. You guys remember that they are the opposite signs of the zodiac. So while Pisces approaches spirituality through emotions, intuition, the woo-woo mystical things, Virgo can approach spirituality through the physical world, through their physical body, through centering, breath work, energy healing, Reiki, any of those things like acupuncture. So we have to remember that Virgo can be very spiritual as well. Just a random thing I learned from one of my astrologers that I like is that actually apparently Virgo moons can be one of the most psychic placements, which I know people don't associate that with Virgo, but Virgo, the moon specifically is the feminine, emotional, intuitive planet. But with Virgo, it kind of helps you hone in on your emotions in a logical way and be able to articulate them very clearly, so they can articulate their intuition in a way that makes sense to other people. They can articulate their psychic premonitions or whatever. So I just thought that was interesting. And I do feel like I know Virgo moons who are quite sensitive and intuitive, even though it's kind of known for being a computer, supercomputer sign. But those are some of the ways in which you can really take advantage of this weekend. Just really making time for yourself to have rest, because those are some of the primary things that the Virgo full moon asks us to release. So the full moon being in Virgo means that we may need to think about releasing certain Virgo tendencies or Virgo shadow sides that we are, overextending on. The one big thing with Virgo is definitely gonna be about letting go of work, or letting go of the need to work too hard to the point of burnout, because Virgo, another earth sign, they like productivity, but Virgo specifically rules the 6th house, which is all about the daily work that you do. So these people can definitely tend to over-identify with work and feel like their identity somehow comes from their work. So this is just to say that if you feel like you've been working too hard recently, you've been burning out, you haven't been taking enough time to rest, this weekend is your permission slip to just like let it all go. Let go of the deadlines and the to-do list, because that is really how you're gonna gain the most insights, the most clarity, and the ability to move forward as we move into Aries season. So that's a big one, letting go of work. With that, some of you guys might also want to be working on letting go of any unhealthy habits, anything you do that you feel like it's not good for you, and you just know that like it's not something you should do. Like stress eating or, drinking, anything like that, even just like sleeping too much or sleeping too little. Again, hopefully the full moon helps you pinpoint the root causes of that unhealthy habit. So again, it's like maybe you're stress eating because your work is hard, but that's again because you're not confronting a coworker at work, or you're not speaking up enough at work, or you're just not taking care of yourself in the ways that you need to. So it's a good time to definitely set intentions around letting go of unhealthy habits, and also trying to drill deeper and figure out like, why do I actually feel compelled to do those things? Like, what is the underlying cause? And you will find that the full moon illuminating your inner world and your subconscious thoughts, it'll be easier for you to do so. Now, some other things to think about releasing with Virgo. Definitely, we already touched on it, but it is the critical judgmental behavior, basically. Virgo being that supercomputer, they analyze everything. Like, they take notice of everything. They see every single detail, even things that normal people, I guess, would not notice because it's just like goes over our heads, but they notice everything. And that is where the criticism comes from, because they see things that normally other people wouldn't see, and they're very meticulous and precise. Virgos do get a bad rap sort of being judgmental, but of course I know you guys with Virgo placements know that you guys are the hardest on yourself. Like, as much as you are hard on other people, it is yourself that you hold to the most impossible standards. And I totally relate to this, again, with my South Node and Moon in the 6th house ruled by Virgo. So it's like feeling the need to be perfect all the time, feeling the need to micromanage things or to control things, that nagging voice in your head that tells you it's not good enough. Of course, not everyone can have those things, not just Virgo. So if you feel like you need to let go of being too hard on yourself, not embracing and celebrating the good things that you do, not celebrating your wins, those are some of the things to set intentions around this full moon. It's like, how can I be more gentle on myself, be more loving, see myself the way other people see me? What comes to mind also with both Pisces and Virgo is that forgiveness, I feel like, is a big theme. Pisces, of course, is the sign of forgiveness, compassion, and Virgo really needs that too. Again, because they are so selfless, they put so much on themselves, but they prioritize everyone except themselves. And they might need to, forgive themselves for certain mistakes, quote unquote, they think they made, or certain bad decisions they think they made. But again, it's stemming from some type of criticism or judgment that is really not there. Like, you're holding yourself to certain standards that only come from your own head, not from anyone else. So forgiving yourself or forgiving another person, not saying that you need to do it right away on this moon, on the weekend, but just setting the intention that I do want to forgive X, Y, and Z, or I do want to forgive myself for these things I've done in the past. And again, the full moon opens a portal for us to be able to move along that path very easily. So we definitely want to take advantage of it. So forgiveness, letting go of criticism, letting go of work. Another thing that comes to mind with Pisces and Virgo is a theme of sacrifice and self-sacrifice. And I think I touched on it, Pisces and Virgo both being very selfless signs, so they can tend to do too much for others. So if that is anything that you need to work on, letting go of the need to overextend yourself or be the martyr or try to save someone or try to change someone, even if you feel like you're doing something good for others, at the end of the day, it is hurting yourself because you are looking for an external reason to feel good about yourself. So letting go of any self-sacrificing behaviors, any martyr tendencies, tendency to kind of do too much for others. Now, the final thing I want to say with this section about like things to release is, one thing that came to mind sort of intuitively is finding a need for closure. I talked about Pisces season being about endings, closing a chapter, like saying goodbye to the past. But perhaps with the full moon, there is a need for you guys to find closure from within and find closure from your own inner knowing. Because I know so often we can tend to seek closure from outside sources. Like, we need to talk to the ex to figure out exactly why they broke up with us, or like we need to talk to our parents or whoever we're estranged with to figure out like why they treated us that way. But I think the full moon in Virgo will remind us that we have all the answers deep inside, actually, and we do not need external validation or external understanding, because that really only diminishes our own inner power and our own trust in ourselves. Because I'm sure a lot of you guys will understand that when you seek closure, deep down inside, you know why things had to end, or you know what was going wrong. Even if you don't feel like you have the full picture, you have a good understanding. So I think this is a big exercise of trusting yourself. Is like, you don't need to seek closure from other people. Set the intention that I will find it from within myself. The universe, please bring me signs or messages or dreams that really help me to let go of this wound or whatever it is. So if any of you guys do need to find that for yourself, definitely think the weekend is an amazing opportunity. Okay, so talked about the moon, talked about what I want to release. Now with this, I'm going to get into talking about the degree of the moon and like what house it's going to be in for you and what that means for you specifically. But before that, I do want to touch on a little bit about certain things that you actually might want to focus on in terms of Virgo themes, because, we talked a lot about what we need to release with Virgo, but as I mentioned, the sun is illuminating the moon. So it is illuminating certain Virgo things that we might be forgetting or we might be neglecting. And one thing that definitely comes to mind with this is perhaps the sun is illuminating the importance of having a routine actually, or having a schedule that grounds you and that makes you really feel present. And I know I just talked all about like letting go of your schedule and like letting yourself do nothing and just taking a rest. Of course, that is important, but the Virgo side reminds us that routine can actually be something that helps us, feel really amazing and brings more light into our life. It doesn't have to be this thing where we are overburdening ourselves with deadlines or to-do lists or just things that we feel like we need to be on top of. A routine can actually be something that helps us be present, focus on our body, understand our emotions, get things out of our head, anything like that. So you guys might want to set the intention that I want to focus on creating a more healthy routine. Not that it has to be anything super complicated either, because Virgos can tend to sometimes overcomplicate things or make it feel like it needs to be perfect again. So even if you can meditate for like 5 minutes a day or 10 minutes, I know certain people have started with 3 minutes. So whatever time you can spare for that, just think about if you can find some morning routine or evening routine that really gives you the space to detach from your day or detach from the emotions of the day or whatever it is. So importance of routine came to mind. The second thing that came to mind in terms of important things to focus on with Virgo is the importance of our physical body. And I touched on this before, but I feel like this is really important to me because you guys know Pisces season, Pisces being that quite spiritual, intuitive sign, we're all being called on to like activate our channel or to like focus on our energetic body and to like open our chakras and do all these mystical things. We get so focused on that we forget that our physical body is just as important as our energetic body when it comes to being spiritual and really having this clear connection to the universe. Because if your physical body is not vibrating at a high enough level to match your energetic body, then the channel is still not clear and you're not going to receive as much information and insight as you can be. And I'm emphasizing this honestly because I feel like I went through this last year where I was super focused on just like meditating and being so woo and like crystals, all that stuff. But I was not exercising. I was not eating correctly. Like I was not getting enough sleep also. And I started to have physical symptoms and it started to be something that blocked my spiritual abilities and blocked my connection to the greater power. So just want to emphasize that focusing on your body and focusing and appreciating how much your body can do for you, and appreciating it as a tool of spirituality and of your soul and of your cosmic blueprint. All of those things are super important to think about during this moon as well. Okay, perfect. I'm just going to take a little water. I know I talked a lot. Does anyone have questions? I didn't see any major questions. Lots of Virgo people, Virgo risings, Taurus risings. Oop. Note taking, throwing everything out. That's good. Oh, sorry. I just, the comments are getting in the way. There we go. Let's see. Let me just, South Node in 6th house. Yes. Oh my God. I didn't know that you had that too. Absolutely. And that really says, South Node in the 6th house says that we are comfortable with the practical world, actually. We are comfortable with our to-do list and schedules, but what we are challenged to do is what is uncomfortable, which is the North Node in the 12th house, which is all about the spiritual and letting go of the physical body. And so, yeah, I totally see how you are on that path too. You're killing out. Thank you. I'm doing good. I honestly feel like I just need water. That's the big thing. Any tips for Virgo rising? I'm going to talk about how the moon will affect your houses. So that is going to be next. Yeah, taking care of your health. It is going to be safe, by the way. So definitely. Yeah, Pisces sun, Virgo moon. I'm going to talk about, let's just get into the next section about where the moon is going to be in and how to find it on your chart, because that's really going to be the best way. And I'm going to talk through all the houses too. Let me just blow my nose. Okay. Okay, so we talked about the moon, like what to expect, what to work on, things to keep in mind. The moon specifically will be in 8 degrees of Virgo. The moon will be in 8 degrees of Virgo and the sun will be in 8 degrees of Pisces. You specifically want to find where 8 degrees of Virgo is on your chart. So here, let me bust out the paper again. Here is Virgo. 8 degrees of Virgo would be right about here, and it's falling in the 7th house for this chart. This is actually my chart. So so Virgo full moon will actually be activating my 7th house this weekend. Do you guys know how to find the degree on your chart? I know I talked about it a lot before. If you guys don't know, you can definitely check out my highlights bubble called Finding Degrees, because I did a walkthrough of how to read degrees on your chart. Comment if you don't know like at all what I'm talking about how to find the degrees. But you can watch the highlights bubble, or you can also, if you don't want to learn how to read degrees, then you can also use an online calculator to do it for you. Because yeah, I know it can be confusing. So if you want, you can also Google just AstroSeek Transit Calculator. Google AstroSeek Transit Calculator. And it's really going to be the first link that pops up. That link is just a calculator to calculate your transit. So it's going to ask you to put in your birth information, like your birthday, time, location. And it's going to also tell you to put in the date of the moon. So you're going to put in February 27th, and you're also going to put in where you're located. And what that will return is another chart that shows you exactly where the planets will be on that day, on the 27th, and you can just find the moon symbol and see which house it falls into. And I know I did a story on this before, but I can repost that story after this if you guys need more help. But yeah, AstroSeek Transit Calculator. Yes, thank you. I need some water. How to know your degree. Yeah, so if you can count degrees on your chart, then all you have to do is count where 8 degrees of Virgo would be and figure out which house it is going into. I will re-share about the transit calculator on my stories after this so you guys have a clear understanding, but just figure out where the 8 degrees of Virgo falls on your chart, because that is the house that will be activated for you during this weekend. And now I'm going to give you guys a tip on exactly how to interpret the moon in your house. Can we use the Astro Future app? Yeah, sure. I don't know anything about that app actually. I will definitely look into it later. But if there are honestly better tools, please share them with me, because I know I don't know like every calculator or like app that is able to do these things. So definitely share with me later. But here is exactly how to interpret any full moon in your houses. So like I talked about, the transit date is the full moon time. So it's going to be February 27th. And in the description, I will have the exact timing of the moon. So you just put in exactly that date. If your Virgo's in the 8th house, then the moon will probably be in the 8th house. Yes. Okay, so let's discuss how to interpret the full moon. So like I discussed, any full moon happens when the sun and moon are at opposite points of each other. So the sun has been in Pisces for about a week now, and it's been really highlighting for me my first house. So this has been a season, a month where I've really been called on to focus on myself, honestly, my first house, my identity, my personality, or the things that I like doing. With Pisces, there's definitely been a spiritual undertone to all of this. So I've personally actually been taking a channeling class from Erica here on Instagram. She is the multi-dimensional medium on Instagram. She is super awesome. You guys should definitely follow her. I feel like I relate to her because she's a Taurus sun too, but for the last couple of weeks, I've been taking this channeling class, which has been so amazing because I'm realizing that I can actually channel it. It's not something that just like psychics can do. Actually, it's something that we can all do. But I've been really focused on this side of life. The full moon happening in Virgo in the 7th house, it is illuminating the fact that perhaps you have been neglecting this area as you've been focusing so much on this area. So for me, it would be, I've been focusing so much on myself, what I want to do. I have completely lost sight of this is the 7th house. of my relationships and how I really need to still be taking care of other people and doing things for other people. The moon is illuminating that abruptly. It is telling us like, hey, by the way, like you're so focused here, but don't forget about these things here. And for me, at least, I definitely feel like I resonate because I said like the last couple of weeks I've been like having fights with my boyfriend, relationships focused obviously. And I've been realizing that a lot of it is really my fault because like I've been stressed or I've been overburdening myself. So I feel like for me, I definitely feel a sense like, yeah, I need to kind of let go of some of these things and like refocus on other people and just like, you know, having fun or doing things with other people. So that is one way to read any full moon. It's always going to be that the moon is illuminating something that you might have not been focusing on as the sun has been going through the opposite point of the chart. So let me just describe all the houses one by one. So I talked about if the sun is in the first house, then obviously you've been focusing on yourself and maybe you need to focus a lot more on your relationships. If the sun is in your seventh house, then obviously it's going to be the reverse. Like perhaps you've been focusing a lot on your relationships and now you need to be reprioritizing yourself or you need to take a lot more time for you. You might also need to let go of like self-judgmental behaviors or critical behaviors or unhealthy habits, but there's a big focus with the moon in the first house that you need to be refocusing on you. So that's obviously going to apply to some people, and probably Virgo risings, you will have the moon in your first house, but that is first house, seventh house. Then what if you have the sun in the second house and the moon in the eighth house? So the sun in the second house is all about work. It is a Taurus house, so it's about work and productivity. So sun being here really suggests that you've been focusing on your money, your work, productivity, of course, or just kind of like getting all the things aligned and in order. You've been focusing more on the practical side of life, but perhaps you've been losing sight of your emotional world. The eighth house is all about our deep emotional internal like swamp that kind of surrounds us all, but this is reminding you like perhaps there are certain emotions that you've been repressing or certain like, you know, problems with like conflicts with family members that you've been ignoring and kind of like burying because you're just so focused on money or work or doing something else that you really need to refocus on like, hey, how have I actually been feeling the last couple of weeks? Like, have I been feeling good, or have I been just super stressed and kind of burying it for productivity's sake? So hopefully the full moon, for those of you guys with the moon in the eighth house, it'll really help clarify a lot of those emotions. Again, bringing them up to the surface, helping you figure out why you felt certain things at the time that you felt them. So that is what it would mean for second house, eighth house. If you had the opposite, like you had the sun here and the moon here, then it would be reversed. So it might be like you've been really focused on your emotions and you've been kind of getting caught up in drama, or there's just been a lot of like emotional upheaval around you and you feel like people are like nagging at you or they're getting in conflict with you, but there's some emotional conflict that's going on. But perhaps you felt like you weren't really fully understanding the root cause. Again, you didn't have the full moon helping you understand like, why am I lashing out? Or why are these like subconscious thoughts coming up? So hopefully the full moon will help illuminate some of those reasons for you. And then with the moon being in the second house, perhaps you will realize the importance of simplicity. The eighth and second are about complexity and simplicity. So perhaps the moon is helping you refocus on the simple things in life and on just like smelling the roses, like having a nice meal, just like relaxing and letting yourself be in the present moment, not having to just think about your emotions all the time or thinking about working on yourself all the time. Sometimes you can just be peaceful and allow yourself to be in the moment. So that might be an interpretation of second and eighth. Now moving on to third and ninth. If you had your sun in the third house for Pisces season, then that would really indicate that you've been kind of focused on the little details of life actually, because the third house is all about like the little paperwork or the errands or the homework or just the things that you need to do day to day. It's also about socializing, being with other people. So perhaps you've really just been focusing on little details or on getting errands done or chores done. But you've been losing sight of the bigger picture. And that's what the moon in the ninth house would mean, is that you've been getting so caught up in the little tiny details and losing sight of what am I actually going towards, or what is the ultimate goal, or like what am I actually trying to achieve here? So this is a call to take a step back and refocus on like, hey, am I going in the direction that I want to be going, or am I just like so caught up in the check box, checking off things off the list that I'm forgetting where I'm actually even going? That is third and ninth. Now, if you had the opposite, if you had the sun in the ninth, then perhaps you've really been focusing on the bigger picture actually, or you've been focusing on exploration, getting out there, education, studying a little bit, like kind of being very adventurous. The ninth house is a Sagittarius house, so it would really say that you've been focusing on expanding your horizons and kind of seeing what's going on in the world and being very big picture again. But with that, perhaps you've been losing sight of the little details of life and how you need to pay your bills, or like get your homework done, or you need to, help out your neighbor, or whatever it is. You've lost sight of the third house, so you want to be refocusing there. Okay, so we talked about that. Now we go to the 4th and 10th house, the home and family zone versus the career zone. So you guys can see probably exactly how this manifests, but the sun in the 4th house, of course, would indicate that this month, maybe you've really been focused on your family, on your personal relationships, on emotional connection, on your home even, like maybe you've been cleaning your home or selling your home or whatever it might be. But with that focus on the personal area of life, you've kind of lost sight of your professional goals or your career, or like whatever you need to get done at work. So this is really a call to remember that you don't always need to be doing things for people. You don't always need to be, emotionally servicing other people. You can also focus on your own ambitions, what you have to achieve in the world, your very important, unique soul mission. So remembering that the moon is calling your attention to this area of life. Of course, if you guys have it in reverse, then it would be the opposite. Maybe some of you guys have been focusing way too much on your career and losing sight of the fact that you need to be talking to your spouse, or you need to be playing with your kids, and you need to be letting go of deadlines, probably with the Virgo side. It's like letting go of just like being on call for your boss, or over identifying with your work. And remember that you have an identity outside of that. So that might also be important for you guys with this alignment to think of here. Okay, let me take some water now for a second. Sun 9th, moon in 7th. Oh, interesting. Should we be looking at our birth chart or transiting sun and moon? You want to be looking at where the transiting moon is going to be. So I'm going to post some stories after this with a transit calculator to tell you exactly how you can find it for yourself, like in an easy way, basically. Okay. Yes, moon in the 6th house, sun transit moon in the 7th. Okay, awesome. Okay, so let's go on to finish the rest of them. Sun in the 5th house. This is really fun actually, because the 5th house is all about your passions and your creativity and like really what you do for fun. So this season, you really might have been focusing on yourself too. The 5th house is actually kind of a very self-centered, not in a bad way, but self-centered house, because you're focusing on your ideas, your passions, your creations. You've been really fired up about them. But with the moon in the 11th house, perhaps you've been losing focus or losing sight of the fact that, yeah, it's great to pursue your passions, but how is it going to help other people? 11th house is all about humanitarian community ideal. So it's like, how is what you're going to do gonna make a larger difference or a larger impact? And like, how can you make the most impact with your creative passions and your projects? Because I'm sure all of you guys here, we all feel like we want to be making a difference in the world. Obviously, with all the things that are going on in the world now too, like it feels like everything is so unstable. So you guys with sun in the 5th house, you shouldn't feel like you can't pursue your passions and what you feel like you are called on to create, but just remember what is the ultimate goal or the impact that you can make for others. Another way to interpret the 5th and 11th is that the 5th is about dating. So you actually might have been focusing too much on dating or on your, partners or just like your romantic interests and not enough on your friends. So the 11th house is all about friends. So that's just another way that this kind of manifested for you, is like focus more on your platonic relationships, not so much your romantic ones as well. Now, of course, the opposite applies to 11th and 5th. if the sun has been in your 11th house, then you've really been probably fired up about social causes or humanitarian causes or groups. Like perhaps you've really been paying attention to the news and really feeling fired up to do something that makes an impact on a social scale. But you might have been losing sight of how you also need to be honoring your heart and honoring your own desires and the passions that you want to be doing. You don't need to be a martyr or a humanitarian all the time, just doing things that are best for the group. You can also do things that are best for yourself and the things that actually light your own fire and make you feel like you're having a lot of fun, because actually the more that we pursue our heart's desires, the easier that we can make a difference on others, because it's truly authentic and it's truly what we are called on to do. It is the inner fire that is lighting up our whole life. So just remember that it is okay to almost be selfish and prioritize your own interests. But of course, don't forget that it needs to make a bigger impact. Of course, this might be that you focus too much on your friends and you need to focus more on your romantic life or your dating partners, whatever it might be. That's just another interpretation of it. Transit moon in the 5th, sun in the 11th. Oh, yeah. Okay, awesome. Yeah, so definitely it feels like you need to be focusing more on your passions. And with the sun going into the 10th house, it's also going to illuminate how your passions can fuel your career, or how you can have a career that is more aligned to your passions. So that's really exciting. My chart is showing the sun in 3rd and moon in 9th, but the interpretations, it might mean that your natal birth chart has your sun in 5th and moon in 11th. I need to go back and look at the astro calculator. Again, I will post just a quick tutorial again on exactly how to read that calculated chart. So no worries about that. Okay, let's just finish off with the final houses too. I don't want to forget. Sun in the 6th house versus moon in the 12th house. Now 6 is a Virgo house and the 12th is a Pisces house. So the Pisces Virgo themes are strong for you guys especially. But sun in the 6th house would really say you've been kind of focusing on the practical details of life, or on your work, or on your to-do list, or just the things that you gotta get done. You might have been cleaning a lot. You might have been organizing a lot. But you might not have been focusing enough on your rest and relaxation, or just on the need for you to feel a emotional connection or to feel a spiritual connection. Things don't have to be so logical or so analytical all the time. You don't need to understand everything or figure out everything. Sometimes you can allow yourself to feel and just be with your energy and see what comes out from that. So for you guys with moon in the 12th, this is really, really emphasizing rest for you guys. Like, I think you're going to feel quite depleted actually this weekend if you don't prioritize that. So I definitely want to put out sort of a warning for that. Now, of course, the opposite applies for people with sun in the 12th and moon in the 6th. Sun in the 12th people, you've really been having a very intuitive, mystical, spiritual time, because you've had the sun in Pisces in the 12th house, really amplifying the mystical, like transcendent vibe. So of course, like you've been really leaning into that. But perhaps for you, you've been losing sight of what I noted as the importance of your physical body when it comes to spiritual development as well. That it's not just all about the woo-woo and the crystals and the energy. It's also about how you feel physically, because we are humans for a reason, and we are 3D for a reason, because our physical body is a link to our soul body and to the greater cosmos, of course. So this is a call to remember that your body needs to be in the right alignment, and your environment also needs to be correct. So cleaning clutter or organizing or anything like that might be super important for you guys as well. Okay, we went through the chart. Woohoo! That's true. Oh, good. Awesome. Pisces sun. Yes. So you, first house vibes right now is really, the focus is on you. That's awesome. Actual birth chart. Do we go off the picture? Yeah, I will talk more about the Astro C calculator later. Hi, Aisha. Oh my God. Love you. Oh, love you too. Oh my God, you guys are so cute. Yay. Okay, perfect. Okay, so we actually do have a little bit of time. Do you guys want me to talk about what it means when you have planets next to the moon? Like some of you guys might have a planet near 8 degrees of Virgo or 8 degrees of Pisces. I was going to talk about that too, but if you guys want to ask other questions, you can also talk about that. We can also answer your questions too. Are you referring to my actual birth chart or the sun? It is a transit sun and moon. So that's what you want to look at. Where the sun and moon are going to be on the 27th. Oh yeah, if you missed me talking about the second house, I'll be re-uploading this in just like a couple minutes. So don't worry about that. My moon is in 11. Ooh, yes. I love that Piscean vibes for you. Venus and Virgo. Okay. I'm going to talk about what it means when you have planets next to the 8 degrees of Virgo. I want to do more lives. This is the whole point, because for me, like I was explaining in the beginning, but I'm a uber perfectionist, and I really feel this call with the full moon in Virgo to let go of the need to script all my videos, because you guys probably don't know this, but I used to write down literally every single thing that I used to say in my videos, down to like the ums or the likes, honestly, because I am that kind of Virgo 6th house vibe. Because I get really afraid that like I'm not going to say things correctly, even though there's no standard of correct. It's really just what I put onto myself. So yeah, I want to go live more, and like that's really the whole plan, is to, you know, let go of the need to be perfect, because there is no such thing as perfection. Okay, so let's talk quickly about planets around the important degrees and what that will mean for you. So you really want to be looking at, of course, any planets that you have right around 8 degrees of Virgo. So I would say around like 3 to 5 degrees before or after. So like around 5 degrees to 11 degrees of Virgo approximately. If you have planets like in that zone, then obviously it is going to be illuminated along with the moon. So take a look on your chart, see if you have any planets around those degrees. But if you do, remember that the sun will be illuminating that planet for you as well as it illuminating the moon. So it might be referring to the fact that this planet represents something that you have been forgetting potentially or neglecting, as you've been focused more on the sun house. So, you know, let's say this planet is Mercury. Mercury representing our to-do, or like our errands, our homework, our paperwork. So perhaps you've been, you know, not focusing on doing your homework enough, or losing sight of deadlines, or just like not getting things done in terms of paperwork or communication related things, email related things. So it might be something you're neglecting. Venus might mean that you have been neglecting your relationships, or even about self-love. You've been neglecting your own sense of like self-worth and of how you value yourself. So the planet can represent something you've been neglecting. It can also, of course, represent something you need to release. So Mercury might mean that you need to release a certain mindset or a certain way of thinking that is no longer serving you. Venus might mean you need to let go of something that you had valued before or that you had loved, but you realize it's not serving you anymore. Mars might mean you need to let go of a conflict or, you know, something aggressive that is not serving you. Those are some ways to interpret the planet next to Virgo. It can also actually mean something that you're celebrating, because the full moon is also about celebration and of reaping the rewards of our efforts. So planets next to the moon can also mean something that you are celebrating. So Mercury, you might have done really well on some kind of communication related project or on your homework, or perhaps with the Saturn, you might have done really well on like a responsibility that you had, or really just like some kind of important like presentation you had to give, something like that. So that is what it means when you have planets around 8 degrees of Virgo. Now, I also want you guys to look at planets that you have between like 5 to 11 degrees of Pisces, of course, where the sun is. Pisces, Gemini, and Sagittarius, because when you have planets around that degree of Pisces, that means the moon is going to be opposing it. If you have planets in Gemini or Sagittarius, that means the moon is going to be squaring it. So that is a conflict. So we really want to be looking at oppositions like the sun, conjunctions like the moon, or squares with Gemini and Sagittarius. So if you have planets around like 5 to 11 degrees of Pisces, obviously it's next to the sun, and it is being opposed by the moon. So that planet might represent something that you need to bring in balance. Again, perhaps you've been focusing on it a lot. Like maybe if your Venus is around like 5 to 11 degrees of Pisces, that means you've been really focusing on your love life or on your self-care, which is all good. But perhaps you've been losing sight of whatever house that the moon is in for you, and you've been like overindulging or like overdoing self-care. Like Venus can mean over pampering yourself, overindulging. So that might mean planets around Pisces are something that you need to bring into balance. Planets in Gemini and Sagittarius, they are making a square to the moon. So they almost represent a conflict or a challenge that needs to be resolved in order for you to achieve the things that you want to release with the moon. So, let's see if there's an example. Okay. Let's say that the moon is in the 7th house of Virgo, like highlighting the fact that you need to focus on your relationships, but you have a planet in Gemini squaring the moon. That planet is in the 4th house of your home and family. So while you need to focus on relationships, perhaps you'll have like a family challenge or a family obligation that kind of prevents you from focusing on your relationships so much. It's just a call to be mindful of whatever you have going on in Gemini or in Sagittarius, because some of those things might come up as potential blockers or just something you need to resolve in order to really fully focus your attention here on Virgo. So hopefully that all makes sense too. Okay, let's see questions. I don't see any planets on my 8th house in Virgo. Yeah, some of you guys might not have any planets around 5 to 11 degrees of Virgo, Pisces, Gemini, and Sagittarius, because it just depends on what time you're born, your birth chart, of course. So some of you guys might not have any oppositions or squares with the moon, which is fine. That means you get to fully enjoy the release and the clarity that comes with a full moon, and you don't necessarily need to focus on other sides of life. Okay, cool. Yes, okay, sounds like people are understanding. That's good. Any other final questions? I know I probably can't like answer everything, but I do want to do another live, probably where it's just like an open Q&A maybe, or like I take your questions beforehand, but I want to have more ability to interact with you guys, because I get lots of DMs, I get lots of comments, of course, and I can't get to all of them anymore. So I definitely want to have more touch points like this. Tasha, we are looking at our transit chart. So it's really the transit chart, seeing where the planets are in the sky and like how it aligns to your birth chart. Yay! Oh, thank you so much. Thank you, Aisha, and thank you, Candles. Okay, so before I let you guys go, the final thing I did want to mention was that actually, March is coming up soon. I talked about how it's Aries season, no retrogrades. I'm super excited for it, but I'm also working on this super exciting new program that I'm going to be launching really soon. I have not talked about it really except to you guys now. I know I've hinted at it here and there, but I'm just letting you guys know that next week I'm definitely going to be talking a lot more about this program that I've been working on, which is going to be so fun. It's going to be something that helps you understand your own birth chart, understand yourself, have access to me, and also have access to a wonderful community without needing to, wait for so long on my wait list. And I will also talk about that next week, like what's going on with my readings, what's going on with my wait list, because I know so many of you guys are waiting for a reading. So I will definitely explain all of what's going on there. Okay. Yay. If a lot of your planets are in Gemini or Sag, so yeah, you might specifically feel like there's a lot more you need to think through in other areas of life too, as well as the houses of your sun and moon. So you might have a little bit more like self-reflective work to do this moon, but of course, this is basically a time for you to do it. And you specifically, we have all eclipses in Gemini and Sagittarius this year. So it's really an active time for anyone who has those placements. Love these lives. Thank you. Yay. I definitely want to do more. Awesome. Ooh, Pisces, so many Pisces placements. That's crazy. This is really Jupiter going into Pisces this year around the summertime. It only happens every 12 years. So bringing a time of luck for you. So really look forward to that, because that's really going to be healing for so many of us, but especially you actually. Oh my God, thank you. Yay, thanks guys. Awesome. Do I take repeat? Oh yeah, Teresa, of course. Yes, I do for my repeat customers. I have already done follow-ups where we can dive into other parts of your chart or do more forecasting of what's coming up for you. So yeah, definitely do that. Just email me because I know right now I'm not taking clients. Okay, awesome. More lives. Yes, exactly. It's coming. Hey, just you wait because there might actually be a lot more of these coming. So I'm so happy that this actually resonated with you guys. Yay. Mean back luck? I don't know what back luck means, but Jupiter is a lucky planet. So you might have actually something fortuitous happen to you. Yes, thank you guys. Yay. Yes. I know I do want to take on more, but that's why I'm creating this program too, because it is really something that I'm mirroring off my one-on-ones actually. So it's almost going to be the experience of having a one-on-one with me, but in a different format. So I'll explain all that next week. Okay guys, I'm going to let you go now. Thank you so much for being here and like staying with me. Definitely will do more of these lives, and this will all be saved too, so don't worry about that. But hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. Happy full moon. Take some rest, drink water, hydrate, and I'll talk to you guys later.